Live from the Spill Studios, located behind a liquor store off the I-35 interchange, it's time once again for a couple of cold ones with Corey and Carlisle.
Don't say liquor. Don't say liquor at all, boy. It was a rough weekend. I had 2 nights of house parties that just pretty much made me shit out my liver today. So I'm recovering though.
Yikes! What is up with my buddies this weekend? Just coming up with the worst things imaginable to describe how hard they partied this weekend. I had one of my buddies last night that was discussing about the fact that he literally wanted to scoop his colon out with an ice cream scoop.
Ugh, that just sounds painful.
Yeah, it was sort of shitting out your liver.
Oh, well, you don't know how
How
to put
does
it
it
back
sound
in
like
then.
time?
I won't tell you how I got it back in my body then. That's twice as painful. But nah, man, I don't know, man. Maybe it's because those painful ways of describing drinking really describe how you feel. I mean, I haven't done this in a while. I mean, I played beer pong last night and lost several times.
Where did you
One,
play beer pong?
okay, one of the animators, Jennifer.
Yes.
She had a house party last night. I got over there at like 2:30 in the morning, which I had already been out with friends and drinking with them, some friends who came into town. And so I went over there and hey, beer pong was there. I was already a little drunk and I went ahead and played. I've only played beer pong twice in my life, and I have to say I think I'm a natural.
You think you're a natural?
I
But
think
I hear you got fucked up.
no, I did. I did. It took me a while to get into the groove, but I will say this. The last game we played. Now, if who's played beer pong, you know that you set up a row of cups, almost like bowling pins, on each end of a long table, and the more those you throw a ping pong ball across the table, and it lands in the cup, and when it lands in that cup, the person standing on that end of the table one of those two people has to drink it, and so I was that person for several times that night. But as the night went on, got better. There was one cup left at the end of the table. I know I feel like I'm talking about the World Cup right now or something. Now, there was one cup left at the end of the table, and I made that winning shot.
Goal!
Yeah, exactly.
They're
And
beautiful Venezuelan fans off to the side, pulling their breasts out, running naked through the streets.
actually, that was me. At that point, I was so fucked up. I was the one that pulled my breast out and ran naked to the street. I won. So,
And there you go, kids. That's how you play beer pong.
so
Jesus, Corey.
if you saw a naked black man running through your neighborhood last night, that was me having scored the winning shot in beer pong.
Let's be honest. There were probably a lot of naked black men running around.
I don't know. I don't know what neighborhood that was.
It was Saturday.
Oh, you mean I wasn't the only one? Damn. But anyway, how was your weekend, man?
My weekend was pretty good. It was very sedate, which is good because I'm still kind of recovering from vacation last week, and I have to wake up early in the morning, man. This is uncool.
Well, you have to wake up early. Why? You never wake up early.
I know. I have jury duty.
Oh shit! You got picked for jury duty, huh?
I got picked for jury duty. And I'm one of those guys that it's like I was talking to Leon, and Leon's like, oh, all right, here's how you get out of it. And I'm like, I it's my civic duty, and it's something we're supposed to do, and it's something we should do. I don't like the idea of juries being filled with the people that just couldn't get out of jury duty. That just kind of scares me. So it's something that I know I've got to do, but at the same time, it's like, but you motherfuckers want me to wake up at 8:30 in the morning, and I go to bed at 7.
Yeah, that civic duty ain't
Actually,
sounding too
not
good
even
right
wake
now.
up. They want me there at 8:30 in the morning. 8:30 in the morning. I go to bed every night at 7. It is not. I'm trying to figure out a way to try to sleep tonight, so that I can get a few hours before crawling in. And they take one look at me and see the long-haired, bearded guy with bloodshot eyes, kind of dozing off. And I'll spend the afternoon at the pokey.
uh, well, if you're trying to sleep, may I suggest beer pong?
Beer pong.
Yeah, I'll come over.
That's
and play
what I
with you.
need. I'm gonna play some beer pong. Can you play beer 40K? Is there a way to play Warhammer with the beer pong rules?
I believe at any moment that you get drunk, you can play whatever the hell you want to play. I'm
Right.
yes, and I'm sure I did. I played a lot of games last night that weren't exactly the rules for beer pong after I got fucked up.
Hey-o.
Yeah, hey, ladies and gentlemen, how you doing? No, I did. I started to say beer duty. I did jury duty one time, and I did not want to go, but I said if I'm gonna go, I want it to be like I want to be like 12 Angry Men. I want to be like I'm in there for like a murderer and who might not be guilty, and I want to go in there and be all kind of drama. We're there all day trying to figure out this guy's case, and everybody's just arguing with each other at each other's throats. And when I went, it was like it was a simple case. Went in there, we were probably we had our decision made in like less than 5 minutes. It was over. It was said and over with before anything, and I was really angry about that. I felt gypped.
They're like, no, we need to re-examine the evidence again. And it's like,
Yeah.
the guy pled guilty. What do you? No.
Yeah, I was the one causing trouble. But wait, we haven't looked at it this angle.
Thing. What the hell?
Yeah.
This justice will not stand.
Yeah, I think they're fucking with him because he's a black man. They're like, he's
I
a
think
white.
I saw this movie. It was called One Angry Black Man and 11 White People Staring at the Crazy Man.
Yeah, and a bunch of white people who want to go home.
And there's an Inception screening today, and I really want to see that. And come on, man, let me out.
That's right.
See, that's the kicker is that I've got to be there an hour and a half before our Inception screening in town. So
Well,
I
there's
won't
two of
be
them
there for the morning screening. Yeah, there's the evening one. But there's the morning one at the good theater and then the evening one at the crappy theater.
Yeah. So you probably have to skip that morning one and then go to the evening one.
Unless I show up and they're like, because it could be one of those cases that happens all the time where you show up and they're like, oh yeah, by the way, they just settled just moments ago because they didn't want to walk into the courtroom, so you're free to go. And it is, a mile away from the theater that's showing it, so then I'll just, hop on my scooter and truck on over and catch Inception.
My point of telling you my jury duty story about booty duty is because.
Did you pull booty duty last night?
Hell no. A lot of things came out of my.
I thought you were about to say, oh hell, oh wait.
Oh no,
I pulled no booty duty.
And not that that's a story in itself. A lot of things came out of my booty this morning from drinking so much, but no, nothing. Hey, people, how you doing? Good start to the show. No, I was going to say that maybe you will actually not have to do a lot of time there. You'll go there and you'll be in and out real quick. And
that's what I'm hoping. Yeah. But they did when I got the email saying that I was picked and I was supposed to show up. It was like make sure you keep your schedule open to the 21st of July. And it's like, oh motherfucker.
I went to the first time I got selected for jury duty. I went. But I got selected to do it again, and I don't know what happened. I just didn't go. And it's not because I was being defiant. I just forgot and just didn't go. And nobody came after me. Nobody said anything. So I don't know what the repercussions will be of that later. But
fine, we'll never ask you to do it again.
Yeah, I think that's what it was. Like, he was so crazy last time. We don't want his ass back over here. No, I think you'll be fine, man. You might really actually make it to that morning screening. You never know. It's probably a good thing that it is at 8:30, so you'll be in and out.
I hope.
Yeah, we'll see. Well, if we don't see you there tomorrow morning, we know where you are.
Yeah, it's like where's Carlisle? Jury duty.
I'm actually gonna tell people booty duty.
Booty duty.
Yeah, he ain't gonna be here.
I'll be pulling some booty duty.
Well, yeah, you'll be at tonight's screening, walking funny. So, not a really interesting week as far as the top 5 goes, but we're gonna talk about it anyway.
You think we're going to talk about it?
I don't
know if we should talk about it.
I have a feeling
because last week we talked about the convention for a while, and then we got around to the top 5, and we still got yelled at for not doing the top 5 up front. So I say fuck those people. Did you not see those comments? People were like, don't talk about some stupid convention. We want the top 5.
Really?
Yeah.
People, they hunger for the top 5 that much?
Yeah, they can't. I didn't realize. Of course, I was a little drunk my own self, so.
Yeah, you were. You sound like you were having a damn good time at that convention.
I was having a damn good time at that convention. I am happy to say that it is only 50 more weeks until Convergence, and I'm looking forward to it.
We're actually talking about doing a room.
Yeah, we talked about that last week, and you and I talked about that at a screening this week.
Yeah.
That we're not allowed to talk about.
What screening are we not allowed to talk about?
The one we're not allowed to talk about.
Was it? Why?
because I was told, I tweeted about it and was told immediately, yeah, that's embargoed from Twitter, Facebook, written reviews. You can't talk about that movie at all until it comes out.
Oh yeah, well you can talk about you can say we went to the screening, we just can't talk about the movie, can't give a review on it. And they make a point of that on these emails now. They say the movie's embargo, please save all reviews until Friday, and then they put in parentheses that includes Twitter, YouTube, anything else out there. They don't want you putting the thing out there at all. Did somebody reprimand you?
No, I got the pokes and it was like, really? And then I double checked. They'd sent us the invite like 2-3 weeks in advance, which was uncommon. Normally we get them, closer to the date. And it was
Sorcerer's Apprentice is what.
Yeah.
We saw. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's right. It comes out Wednesday, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So all right, I know you itching to talk about that movie. If you can just wait 48 hours, you can tell the world.
48 hours.
48 whole hours.
I don't know, man. I'm just the whole Twitter, Facebook thing in particular is getting on my nerves.
I thought you loved Twitter.
No. I mean the studios coming out and saying that we're embargoed on them. And here's what gets me is I'm fine with embargoes. I understand that the desire for an embargo. I think they're dumb, but I get them and I respect them. You ask me for an embargo, that's cool. And if you invite us to a press screening, like what they got in LA over Inception that they weren't allowed to talk about, where they got to see Inception almost a month ago and they just weren't allowed to talk about it. Totally get that. But when you invite us to a public ass screening, when we've got to sit with crying babies and people sending emails during the film and all of those people are going to walk out and they can talk about it and they can blog about it and they can put it on YouTube and they can do all that. And you're saying, we want you to hold your reviews, and you're not even allowed to say on Twitter whether you liked it or not. Well, and you're not even allowed to say on Facebook to your friends and family whether you liked it or not.
I've always thought that too. I mean, writing a review is one thing, but when something is put on Twitter, it's out there, and when people go see these public screenings, I mean, they can do the same thing that we do. They put them on Twitter. The only thing that I can see where the studios would try to justify us not doing that, I think they just say, well, you have a lot more reach than the average person does, and we don't want your influence out there early on this movie.
Yeah, but especially, and I could get that, except that with the way hashtags work, all you have to do is hashtag Sorcerer's Apprentice, and anyone who wants to look that up will see any number of these comments, and that's not limited to just your readership.
Yeah.
So it's really one of those things that I think I think they're kind of overstepping with this new tactic, and I don't like it, and I think it's a bad tactic, especially since only the smallest percentage of film critics have any sizable Twitter following at all. I mean, the vast majority of us have 5,000 or less Twitter followers, which comparatively, when you look at people who have 100,000, 500,000, it's a very different kind of percentage, especially when you consider how many people actually read our stuff versus follow our Twitter. I mean, there's the number of hits we get on the site and the number of hits we get on several of the other sites that we write for and work for. It's dramatically different from the number of people that are reading Twitter. So I can't see them truly justify that by saying, no, we're not going to let you tell the 4,500 people that are following you whether or not you liked the movie.
Yeah. I mean, it's to them, it's still new technology, and there's something that they're probably going to be very protective of, be very watchful over until they understand it better, until they realize that there is some way of controlling that information. I mean, sometimes it makes sense, sometimes it doesn't, but you know how they are.
The studio most anal about it is Disney. I mean, I can't believe they did that over Toy Story 3. Like, they knew they had an uber hit on their hands. They knew everybody would love it, but Armand White would love this film. And still they said, nope, you can't talk about it. Not on Twitter, not on Facebook. It's a really weird kind of thing. And it does show that they don't really understand the technology, but they're trying to get a grasp of it, and they're not doing a good job. And I think it's really kind of an invasive use, especially considering that they're not granting much of a special privilege in doing that. Like I said, if this was one of those cases like the Inception screening tomorrow morning, that's a private press screening at a good theater. If they say we don't want you talking about this at all until it comes out, it's like, okay, fine, you gave us one of these. But when we're sitting in a theater with 400 other people who are all going to be able to tweet and blog about it afterwards,
Yeah.
I don't see the point.
Hey, when does Inception come out?
It's Wednesday, isn't it?
Inception comes out this Wednesday.
It's the 16th, so I guess that would be Friday.
This is Friday. Okay.
Thursday.
Right. Excuse me.
Yeah, that's Friday.
Yeah, I mean, the internet, as we know, is a very, very scary beast for these movie studios. In a way, I'm sure no one understands that better than you because of all the pirating and everything that gets out there. I mean, like when we go up to screenings now, they're pretty much sticking the waving a wand, sticking it up our asses, and trying to figure out what we're carrying in there to the theater. I mean, they're very protective in a way. I can understand it. There's so many ways of leaking stuff out there that they're just being very, and sometimes it might be rational, sometimes it's not.
Like the other day at Predators.
What happened at Predators?
They literally had one of those guys watching. There's 20 film critics, all of whom everyone knows by name, sitting in an Alamo Drafthouse theater of all places, and they've got a security guard watching us with night vision goggles.
They should have had people there in Predator costumes the way they were behaving, watching over people with scopes and shit, because they are standing over people like hawks now. And the studios hire these security people to come in. They got infrared goggles. If they see the slightest light from anything, I've had people actually see a phone go off in my pocket and say, "Sir, will you please cut that off?" And nobody else saw that. I mean, they just saw no one saw it. But the security guard came over and was just.
That's because you're a cell phone ninja.
Oh well, it was.
You have been specially trained to pull off shit with your phone that nobody. That other people can't. I'm steadily growing amazed by these cell phone ninjas popping up. I have a buddy who I will sit and have an eye-to-eye conversation with, and we'll talk for 20 minutes, and I'll go home and I'll find tweets about our conversation. He's like, "Hey, I'm hanging out with Carlisle. Oh, Carlisle just said something funny. Oh," and he'll tweet respond and such like that while we're talking, and I don't even notice he's doing it. It's just like, bam.
I didn't even answer my phone though. That's the thing. I didn't answer the phone. But it was ringing. It just went off, and he saw the light through my pocket. Nobody saw that light but him.
That's because he had the night vision goggles.
No, he wasn't even using. No, that's the thing. There was no night vision goggles involved. That's what I was amazed about.
This is at Predators, right?
No, it's not at Predators. This was a screening like last year. The guy came over, and it was a bigger ruckus. I didn't even know what he was talking about. He said, "Sir, could you cut off your phone?" I was like, "I'm not holding my phone." He's like, "Your phone just went off. It's supposed to be off." And I'm just like, "Oh, you saw? Oh, fuck, you saw that? Jesus, man. Okay, all right, fine." And then
I get paid $7 an hour to be an asshole.
Yeah,
I will be an asshole to you, sir.
And I was like, they
pay me double for being an asshole to black men.
well, it was dark. I wonder if he could tell I was a black man. Probably
because he couldn't see you. All he could see was the cell phone.
He saw my cell phone and my smile. That's all right. In fact, it was my smile. I was laughing at the movie. Thought it was a cell phone. Sir, would you cut that cell? Oh, it's your teeth.
It's
Never
the
mind.
Cheshire critic.
I see my eyes and
you got the laugh there,
and I just disappear right in front of him. No, I will not. Ooh. No, I just told him. I didn't tell him, but I was thinking to myself, you made a bigger disruption by coming over here and talking to me. Now I got to pull the phone out. It's gonna light up the theater when I cut it off. I mean, it would just been easier if you just.
These guys aren't always hired for their intelligence. There's a number of very nice people that do this, very smart people that do this, and then there's people that do this because they can't get any other job.
Yeah, and the people who are cool are actually really cool. And,
yeah,
and they know. They're like, "Look, I'm here because I got to have a job. I'm not gonna fuck with you that hard."
Yeah, there's a couple of guys that would have given you the look and done cut across the throat, and you would have been and like slipped your finger in and turned it off, and all would have been good.
Yeah.
But,
yeah, but whatever, man. It's the people that really take that job seriously. Like we talked about that before. Like you and I have both had the laptop situation. Like where somebody sees you walking in with a laptop and they're like, you got to take that back out to the car. And I'm like, I'm not taking this expensive ass computer out to the car to bake in a trunk, all right, or get stolen. I'm not. And then they've
never asked me to take it back out because it's one of those things where I tell them, I'm here an hour early. I have work I've got to do. This is my job. And once you say it that way, they're like, oh, well, and then they give you the whole rigmarole about, well, if we see it on during the film, it's like, if you see it on during the film, I'm going to be smacked by about 20 people pissed off that I'm lighting up the entire fucking dark theater with this thing.
Well,
I don't think there's going to be a fucking problem.
Well, that's what I told him.
On.
Yeah, the guy told me that too, and it was being a dick because I tried to use that excuse. It's like, hey, look, I had this with me. I was working earlier. I couldn't take it home, so I had to bring it in here with me. And then they make a big deal about, well, look, we take it to the manager, and then the manager has to be like, it's okay, it's let him go and take it in, it's fine. People do this all the time, and then he has to exert his authority. Well, listen, if I see that go off in the theater, I'm like, it's a fucking 17-inch screen. Why would I open this shit in the middle of the theater, huh? I mean, if nothing else, just to keep you from fucking with me like you're doing right now. It makes no sense. I mean, they know that I'm not gonna pull it out, but they gotta have that last little bit of authority there. If I see that out there, I was like, yeah, if I see it, I'm gonna smack you upside the fucking head with it. So, I don't know. It's cool sometimes. Sometimes it's not. But I don't mind them doing it because I know that the studios are still very nervous about what leaks out there, and it happens all the time. I mean, there's still places on a website you can go and watch Toy Story 3 like a day or two later, and and so they're very nervous about that stuff. So tweets, I can totally understand that too. I know, and I'm just used to being embargoed. My whole rule is it's coming out when you want me to have the review, which is the day of the review. I'm beginning to do this now though, where like after 4:00 on a Thursday or a Tuesday, depending on when the movie's coming out, I'm starting to put up the reviews then, and I think that they're cool with that.
Well, in fact, that's what they've been saying. Is like 4:00 is the new midnight, because now that they're doing midnight screenings, because they're like they've always said day of release. Well, a number of places start the movie at 11:59, making Thursday day of release, meaning that midnight the night before. So now they're kind of drawing the line of demarcation at 4:00 the day before.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of cool. I mean, it's a nice little compromise while it lasts. But anyway, how do we even get on Twitter, man? What the fuck?
Oh, we were talking about the film we weren't allowed to tweet about.
Oh yeah. Oh, speaking of which, I am I am a cell phone ninja. I have done this thing where I did not want to take my phone back out to the car, because they'll do that now. They're like, well, we don't even want the cell phone in the theater. You got to take it back out to your car. I'm just like, you know what? And I forget a lot. So when I go in there and they're doing that, I will turn a corner and I will actually put the phone in my shoe and walk in with it. And I got like a limp and everything. I try to get that pimp walk going so it doesn't look so obvious. And they never wand you that low. They go down to about your ankle, and it never picks up the phone. So, yeah, I'm pretty crafty when it comes to that kind of thing.
You're get smart with that.
Yeah, I got my shoe phone. Yeah, I actually.
Sir, your shoe's ringing.
Yeah,
missed it by that much.
Yeah, my phone actually rings, and I give myself away by picking up my shoe and trying to answer. Hello? Oh, you got me. So yeah, I'm very stealthy when it comes to that, man. I'm stealthy you see me. I brought in whole meals before into a theater. I'll bring in.
Yeah, not stealthy. I mean, everybody fucking knows you're eating.
Well, to bring
Sometimes
it in.
You bring some sick ass shit in there.
Like what?
Well, anytime you're not eating and you're stuck in a theater, everything's sick ass. I mean, I had to deal with that last week. I was on a plane, and this entire family is taking up 3 rows, and they're all sitting around me, and they all get on the plane with hot dogs, pizza, and hamburgers. But it's airport hot dogs, pizza, and hamburgers. And so it was literally just, we're stuck on the plane, and all those smells were mixing together, and it just grossed me out. It's like, pickles are delicious unless you're not eating them.
Yeah.
Fritos are delicious unless you're not eating them.
Yeah.
And if anybody near you's eating them, it's kind of like, oh, man, it's disgusting. Well, that's the type of food you usually bring in.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's
like,
certain things I agree.
Fritos and Chinese food, and like normally that'd be great, but when you're in a theater and somebody's eating some sour ass shit next to you, it's kind of like, oh, for fuck's sake, Corey.
Chick-fil-A and chocolate syrup, my favorite.
Except Chick-fil-A actually smells good though. Chick-fil-A is kind of awesome.
No, you're right. There's some foods where when you mix them together, they just smell like shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've been accused of doing that. I brought in what is it? Taco Cabana. Taco Cabana
Taco Cabana.
Yeah, it's a Mexican food restaurant chain here in Texas, and it's good. But I'll be the first to tell you, it's like your pickle thing. If you are not eating Taco Cabana can smell and sometimes even look like shit.
Well, and Taco Cabana is one of those things that it gets better the later it is. Like During daylight hours, I'm convinced Taco Cabana food is just incredibly mediocre. Once it hits about midnight, Taco Cabana food is some of the greatest food on the face of the planet. And at 3 in the morning, that stuff is like manna from heaven.
Oh man,
It's like 3 in the morning. You're like, I'm hungry. Ooh, let's get some TCs, man. Oh yeah, let's get some breakfast tacos and some fajitas and some bean and cheese. Yeah.
Oh
And,
yeah.
I'm down with TC.
Oh
man.
yeah. No, that was I think that was the me last night. That's why I had a rough time this morning because
Beer pong and
Yeah.
Taco Cabana.
what was it? No, I didn't have Taco Cabana. I had frozen pizza. I think it was frozen when I ate it. I was so drunk. I didn't even try to put that shit in the microwave or the oven. I was like, okay. And so, yeah, I'll eat, man, I've been so drunk at a point where I drunk and so hungry that I'll eat roadkill if it's put in front of me. I don't care. So,
And
yeah.
that leads us to the top 5, brought to you by Spill.
All right. Giving the people what they want. People love that top 5. They get mad when we don't get to it. So you know what? You opened up another conversation just to fuck with people, didn't you?
Yeah, I totally
I know
did.
you did. I know you did. I was like,
I'm
this
an
guy-
asshole. I did it.
I know.
Actually, but I did want to talk about that, and I was just reminded of it at the time, and it allowed me to fuck with those guys who were like, fuck you, man, I want my top 5. It's like, fuck you, Jack. This is my podcast.
brought to you by Spill. All
Brought
right.
to you by Spill. Now, let's do the top 6 this week because it's really close in 6 and 5. Like, we could see a flip by tomorrow.
Yeah. Number 6 is Grown Ups, and number 5 is The Last Airbender. Now, The Last Airbender is the movie that made people really. This is the movie that made people hate M. Night Shyamalan. Like, if you were on the fence about M. Night Shyamalan, I think you finally jumped over to the side where you're just like, this man just don't need to touch a camera anymore.
Yeah.
And it was based on the very popular Nickelodeon animated show that a lot of people loved, and I think M. Night just came on and just opened people's minds and shat on their memories of that show. And the movie brought in, last week it grossed what, like 70 million?
Something absurd, like I think 60 million,
60
something like that.
Yeah. This week took a 57% dip, and it brought in $17.2 million. The movie opened up on a Thursday because it's already grossed 100 million so far, and and so because of that, regardless of all the backlash from not only the people who love the show but the critics also, Paramount has said that they will go ahead and try to make some sequels, which was the original plan anyway.
Well, yeah, I mean the thing is they decided to do this Lord of the Rings style to a certain extent, where they put all the money down for the entire trilogy, planning to make the entire trilogy, and by building sets and making costumes and the various things that happen on the first film is going to be more expensive, and the second two were going to be less expensive. Like, this is listed as a $150 million movie, and it was greenlit at like 225, 250 million. So all told, the second two films are not going to cost nearly as much as this first one. Although I'm really curious to see what they do, because M. Night's really fucked up the series. He has dramatically, he's made some choices that absolutely change the thrust of the show. And so I have no idea what he has planned and what he's going to do, because the second season, the thrust of the second season, which should be the thrust of the second movie, is Aang kind of coming to grips with the Avatar state and how angry and how much he lets loose and how much he tears up shit, and he's frightened of that, and him kind of coming to grips with that is a major plot point. But since they totally removed that from the film and made him a total pussball at the end of the first movie, I'm really curious to see what he has planned at all for the second film.
Maybe he's mad at M. Night Shyamalan too, so he'll be angry in the next film. I
That
don't know. You know, they say that the next movie is going to be a little darker than this one. I'm just like, wasn't that the problem in the first place, that this was a little bit too dark? Like, they took all the humor out of it. I didn't see the movie, so that's why I'm not commenting too much.
Oh, the movie wasn't too dark; it was too serious. The second series is pretty dark. The second season is kind of it's very much in that the mold of Empire Strikes Back, where you get to the end of the second season and everything's fucked. and like they build up all this really great stuff. There are these great storylines, and then all of a sudden, bam, everything goes to shit for the good guys, and it ends really rough for them. And it is a very Empire Strikes Back ending. So I mean, it would make a great film if it were treated properly, but that requires the major thrust of having your main character, who starts out goofy, starts getting a little more serious, taking the job more seriously, and then watching him go clusterfuck nuts at the end of the first season, and everybody's like, whoa, shit, this guy's really powerful and has no control over it. And that's what that whole second season is about for Aang. And his name is Aang and not Ong, which is small delineation. So yeah, I really want to see this movie go away. I'm really kind of upset that they're making a sequel to it. But you know what? It's one of those things that I'm looking at and I'm thinking, this was not something that needed to be made now. This was something that needs to be made 15 years from now and will probably get remade 15 years from now by somebody who is 10, 15 years old now, and who grew up with the show, and who absolutely just grows up loving the show and quoting the show. And when they become a director in their own right, sits there and says, you know what I'd really like to do? I'd like to make an Avatar: The Last Airbender series, and I want to make it right this time. And that's when we're going to get the good one, because it's clearly M. Night didn't get the fucking show.
Yeah.
I mean, straight up.
Some people say he's 10 or 15 years old in his head right now too. So,
well, he certainly acts like it to a certain.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, I'm glad I didn't really watch the show to have my memory ruined by it, and I haven't seen the movie, so I'll probably will go back and watch the TV show.
You really need to.
And I won't have the taste of this bad movie in my mouth.
I have become converted, and I am going out and converting everyone else. I talked to Harry about it and gave him a hard time. And I'm like, dude, you need to watch the show. He's like, I don't know. I'm not really big into the artwork. I'm like, dude, watch the show. And sure enough, he sees the movie stuff happens, and he turns around and starts watching it on Netflix. And now he can't stop tweeting about it. Like, he's madly in love with the show. And he's like, oh my God, this would have been so cool in the movie. And how did he fuck this up? And it's, it's starting to spread. So the adult geek generation is finally catching up to what the kid geeks had 5 years ago.
I'm kind of curious to see how they will approach the next movie too, to see if they really are paying attention to what everybody's saying about this film and how they messed up on it. Anyway, you want to go to number 4?
The number 4 film.
Oh, and by the way, the reason why you want to mention number 6 is because Grown Ups is a number 6 movie, and that had $16.4 million come in this weekend. So yeah, it could by tomorrow morning.
I mean, we're looking at a separation of $7,500,000. If they overestimated Last Airbender or underestimated Grown Ups being two separate studios, the number 5 film could be Grown Ups, and Last Airbender could be bumped out. And this could be, we've seen this with Paramount a couple times this year, where they've overestimated their films on Sunday, and then once it gets readjusted, it's at a completely different point. And this is a film they want to stay in the top 5, because if it goes from the second place to completely out of the top 5, it's just an extra bit of a black eye to a film that's got 8% on Rotten Tomatoes and the fans hate. So I'm really curious to see what happens with the estimates tomorrow morning, because I have a feeling Last Airbender might not still be around in the top 5.
That would make a lot of people happy, I'm sure.
It would, actually, and it's sad, but that's how it is right now. So the number 4 film
is Toy Story 3.
Oh yeah. Still around, still making more money than God. It is currently the biggest film of the year.
Well, this weekend it brought in $22 million. And yes, its gross right now is $340.2 million, making it the highest grossing movie this summer so far. So, and that is after 4 weeks of release. So and a lot of people were saying, and I was saying too, the only movie I could see probably catching up with it, because my guess for the highest grossing film of the summer, and it still is, even though the summer's not over, I said it would be Toy Story 3. But I said the only thing that might take it is Twilight. But we'll talk about that in a little bit. Let's go to number 3.
The number 3 film.
Here's where we get into some new releases this week. Number 3 is Predators.
Predators.
Brought in $25.3 million. Not a huge debut for the film, but considering what the other two movies are above this, and considering what the budget is on this, which is 40 million, that's pretty decent business for this.
It is, and for a rated R film during the summer, that's a that's not, it's a respectable amount, and that's one of the things people are always trying to compare box office between different films, and especially with rated R films, you can't. That was the problem earlier this year with Kick-Ass, was people kept trying to compare that to other superhero films when it was the only rated R superhero film. This is a rated R film in the summer with a shaky history, to say the least. The AVP films suck dick through a straw. They're terrible, and there have been two of those since we had the Predator sequel back in the early 90s.
Yeah.
So
I hate that. I really. I have to say that Alien vs. Predator's Requiem is one of my most hated movies of all time.
Really?
Yes. Yeah,
it's not one of my most hated. It's a piece of shit, and I do hate it, but I most hated of all time. I didn't find anything offensive about it. I just found it lazy and terrible.
I just hate when people say, I am a fan of this so much, and they're talking like they can do the movie justice, and then that's the problem. That they are such huge fans to the point where they bring everything that they admired about the movies. In this particular case, Aliens, Predator, Predator 2, they say how much they would watch those movies to the point where, you know what, they ripped them all off and made this movie just one ripped off scene after another. They didn't have one fucking original thought in their head. Oh, I'm sorry, they had that stupid ass Predalien, the Predator Alien hybrid. That was their biggest
Which wasn't
thing.
even their idea. That was something from the comic books.
So yeah, so there you go. I was just like, I hate that. I really hate. If you were such big fans, then do something like James Cameron did. Expand on the story. Don't regurgitate, absorb all these scenes that you love and then just shit them out to make one big tribute movie, a bad tribute movie at that.
But this is not that movie.
No, this is not that movie. This is actually, I've been telling people, we said in the reviews, I'm sure you agree, that this is the true sequel to Predator.
Oh yeah, absolutely. In fact, that was the title of my review on Ain't It Cool News, is that this is Predators is the sequel that Predator has always deserved. I don't think it's as good as Predator, but I think it's really good, and I had a lot of fun with this movie.
Yeah, I did too. I didn't think it was great, but I thought it was really good, and I thought, like, hey, see, now this is what I'm talking about. They kind of kept the spirit of the original Predator, probably to a fault. But
exactly. Yeah.
And to the point where they are guilty of what I was accusing Requiem of doing, but they did expand on the story a little bit more than probably more than any of the other movies have.
Well, you know what? Here's the thing. Here's where Alien versus Predator Requiem went wrong. When you watch the special features on that disc, the interview with the directors, the first thing they say is, we sat around and we asked ourselves, what's scarier, being trapped on a spaceship with an alien or having an alien in your backyard? And we thought an alien in your backyard was scarier. And that's where they were wrong. What was scary about Alien, and what's scary about how Predator worked, was that these people are isolated, they're alone, and they've got nowhere to go. That they're stuck, that there isn't, a gun shop right around the corner.
Yeah,
when you run out of ammunition, you are out of ammunition. And in this movie, these motherfuckers are on an alien fucking planet with what they were dropped with, and that's it. And that is scary. It's that whole thing of, yeah, we could kill all these predators that are hunting us, and then what?
Yeah, and that's the thing, an alien in your backyard. I know some neighborhoods where alien in the backyard would be a common thing. They'd be like, that ain't nothing compared to what we had in our backyard last week. So fuck.
It's called Arizona.
Yeah, it's called Waco. We had a cult in our backyard. The alien ain't shit. But when we watched this movie, I was thinking like, yeah, this is. And see, I don't even think that these are like scary movies. I thought that this is how they should treat it. Like everybody wants to. Again, I talked to somebody yesterday who I said, hey, did you like Predators? And they're like, well, I'm really an Aliens fan, but I like this. I'm like, Why are you even bringing up Aliens? They're two different franchises, really, when you think about it. They're really not connected.
They're completely different. In fact,
Yeah.
that's one of the things is it was really awesome in Predator 2 when they made the little joke.
Yeah.
And then when they made the comic books, and I think for comic books and video games, that kind of combination is great in the same way that Marvel versus Capcom is great in a video game.
Yeah.
But you know what I don't want to see? A Marvel versus Capcom movie. Because I want genuine stories with those characters, and those are two very different things. I had an argument online with a guy who was arguing that Aliens versus Predator is like the PB&J of the movie world. It's great comfort food cinema, and my argument is like, no, peanut butter is something really great that you can make awesome stuff out of, and jelly and jam can be really great that you can make awesome stuff out of. But when you put them together, that's what you feed to fucking 5-year-olds, and that's what Alien versus Predator is.
Well,
And,
see, I didn't
so
mind
glad
it.
to see them separated again.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's what's so frustrating to me is that I actually thought that they could make it work. I mean, I've seen it done in comic books. I mean, it's very simple to do. To see them complicated and fuck it up like they did in the movies, I'm like, studios and Hollywood and movie producers, and they sometimes just do things that make it hard. I mean, they make it more difficult. You have a story that's already made. You have a template already there. Just use it. And no, they had to like really mess it up with those Alien versus Predator movies. Which, by the way, I'm one of those few people that liked Alien versus Predator. I know it's a guilty pleasure for me. It didn't bother me as much as at that point. I'll tell
As
people.
me.
Yeah, no, I know. Well, a lot of people feel like you do. A lot of people really hate that movie. Me, I was just like, it's okay, because at this point I've really given up on both those franchises. They've gone horribly wrong, and I whatever. Yeah, you want to put them within a pyramid and have them fight each other? Why not? Fuck it. I don't give a shit anymore.
But one of them's back.
Yeah.
Dude, do you want to see a sequel to this Predator movie?
To this Predator movie?
Yeah.
Yeah, I do.
Hell yeah. No, that end scene when they're like, all right, let's get out of here. You just like, man, I want to see another Predators movie right fucking now. And it was so much fun. It was everything you want out of a Predator movie. I really, really dug what they did here.
I want them to learn some lessons though from how they proceeded with the Aliens franchise. First of all, don't fucking kill your characters right at the beginning that you've grown to love, that you went through a lot of. Well, that
is one of history's worst cinematic mistakes, and it's a well-known mistake. That was not something they set out to do. That was a mishmash of a number of scripts that they kind of threw together all at once.
And what we're referring to here is
Alien 3.
Yeah, Alien 3, where at the end of Alien, and people, you've seen enough of these. Everybody's seen these movies, so if you haven't, then tune out. But we should be able to talk about this without spoiling anything for anyone. At the end of Aliens, it's Ripley and it's the Marine Hicks and Newt, the orphan girl that found the planet. They've gone through and Hicks. I'm not Hicks. Hicks is I'm sorry. Who's the Hicks is the android or the
Hicks is the Marine.
He is the Marine. Who is the
replicant?
The replicant. Who is that? What's his name?
You know what? I'm all of a sudden, now that you've asked me, I've completely forgotten his name.
Yeah, Lance. I mean, is that Lance Henriksen? Is the guy who plays the actor that plays them? Who plays
Bishop?
Him?
That's
Bishop.
his name.
Yeah, Bishop. Yeah, they all survive, and in Aliens 3, they killed off Hicks and Newt. Bishop is all torn apart, so he's practically dead. And all we have is Ripley again. It's like, man, this bond that was formed between these people who survived all this in that last movie, it would have been so great to see them on another adventure, and you just fucking kill them like they were nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I hope that we see some of the characters that we like in Predators who are carrying on in the next film.
If there is a next film.
If there is a next film, which I think it might be. I would love to see one.
This is one of those great movies with an ending that you want to see another one right away, but you don't feel like the story's left unfinished.
Well,
like you've gotten to the end of the story that you came to watch.
And you know something? I think that they might want to go for a sequel, because with this one, all right, it didn't debut like gangbusters, but it did debut with some good numbers. It did respectable business, as we said. And and I think some of that is because people are still kind of cautious after all these bad Alien and Predators movies. This is the one that actually jump-started again the right way. So people will be eager to see another film if it's done right. It's a step in the right direction.
I took a lot of crap over on Ain't It Cool News for positively reviewing this film. They're like, well, of course you positively reviewed it. You guys are all friends with Robert, and you guys all suck Robert's dick, and there's no way this can be good. We've seen the last few movies. It's like, no, really, this one's good. And people didn't want to believe it, and people wanted it to fail. And now people are coming back, and while some people are really angry at it because, haters going to hate, there are a lot of people really digging this film. I mean, it's got, 65% on Rotten Tomatoes?
Yeah.
Which
I don't know. I'm saying but I don't know. I'm going to take your word for it.
Yeah, no, 65% on Rotten Tomatoes. And people are enjoying the film, and people are starting to hear about it. I was at the game store today, and a couple guys came up to me, and they're like, dude, how awesome was Predators? And we started talking about that. And everyone else in the store is like, oh, it's good to hear that it's good. All right, I'll go check it out. So as the word spreads, I think we're going to see this do decently well next week, and it should make its money back, and then some, just right out of the gate theatrically. And, of course, it's going to do great on DVD.
Yeah. It's a fun movie. I liked it. So let's go to
the number 2 film.
Number two. What did you do, number 2? Number 2 is The Twilight Saga. Eclipse. And it brought in $33.4 million this weekend, bringing its total gross to $237 million. And this was the film that I said could probably beat Toy Story if any movie is going to do that. But now it looks like it will not. And
not at all.
Yeah, like most of these Twilight movies, they have a very, very strong few weeks, but they continuously drop off drastically because
they're making the same amount every time. Everybody gets all excited. They talk about the opening weekend. The opening weekend is really strong. They have the exact same drop off, and they all cap off. And this is going to cap off somewhere in the 260s to 290 region. And it's going to be just under 300 million.
And that's with a $68 million budget, a huge business for this. I mean, it's probably one of the most successful movie franchises out there in terms of how much they've invested in and how much they're getting back.
And how quickly they're throwing these out.
Yeah, and I mean, because there's really, you can look at the movie and you can tell like there's not a lot of production value in this. I mean, wolves and vampire skin. I think that's about it.
Hey,
glittering vampire
skin.
How
big of a budget they have for jean shorts on that movie?
How much?
It's astronomical.
I have to look at this and say I admire this. I mean, if nothing else, I admire what they're doing with this. The studio, they must be just amazed at the kind of business this movie brings in. It will be the second highest grossing movie this summer, I think. But
well, maybe. And you're making a lot of fans angry right now by saying that, and you know that.
What, fans who love the movie or fans who hate the movie?
No, I'm talking about all the Christopher Nolan heads out there that are banging their heads on the desk going, motherfucker, Inception's going to be the highest grossing movie of the summer. God damn it, it's going to be Inception. Shut the fuck up, Corey. You don't know what you're talking about.
I'm telling people that as much as I'm looking forward to this movie, though I don't think it's going to be bigger than Eclipse, Toy Story, or probably, I don't know. I'm looking at some of the others out there. Probably not even bigger than Iron Man. I mean, I hope it is because
we'll see. I'm hearing it's absolutely brilliant, but the question is can they convince everybody who loved The Dark Knight to go see this? If they can, and if they can convince all the people who love this to see it time and again, and instead of pirating it and watching it at home, then maybe it's got a chance.
Well, it's like I was telling somebody yesterday. I think you and I talked about this before. All it has is Christopher Nolan's name attached to it as far as recognizable.
Well, and
names.
Leonardo DiCaprio.
I was going to say besides the cast that they have, which they have a good cast, but Christopher Nolan's name is one of the biggest things on there, and because he's the one that directed The Dark Knight. However, this movie is not a sequel. It's not a property. It doesn't have the story about an actor dying, and it doesn't have iconic characters in it like the Joker and Batman. So
where have we come as a movie industry that we're betting against the movie with an original story, a great cast, and a proven director? The thing is, I'm not targeting you. I'm hearing this from a lot of people, where a lot of people are they're kind of saying, well, we don't have a lot of faith in this movie. I mean, we really want it to do well, but I don't think it just doesn't.
No.
It doesn't. It's not.
I think it's going to do. I think it's going to do. It has a possibility of doing well. Do I think it's going to do the business that these other movies that we just finished talking about have done? No, I don't. And you're exactly right. Where have we come that we have to like say that? We have come to the point of sequels and properties. I mean, there's a point where Warner Brothers said we're not doing anything that's not based on a sequel or a property. So that's where this is coming from. Inception, though, and the other thing about it is that it's also a hard movie to market. I mean, a lot of people don't know what this movie's about unless they have to read up on it. And so that's another thing that kind of goes against it. Not to say that the movie's not going to do well. I think it'll do well. I think it'll do good business if it's as good as people say. I just don't think it's going to actually do gangbusters. I keep saying that today, gangbusters.
Gangbusters.
Gangbusters. I don't think it's going to do that. But hey, we will see. I hope it does. I really do.
All right. Well, let's move on to the number one film then.
The number one movie when we did our review for this, all of us just said, this movie is just cute. It is so cute that we just couldn't resist really enjoying this film, except for that old Grinch Leon.
That's the weirdest thing. Like, he's the only person I talked to about this movie. He's like, all right. And so I was like, oh, all right. Well, then I'm not going to break my neck to see this thing. Me and Leon see eye to eye when it comes to these family films. And then sure enough, every single one of my friends who went to see it this weekend or took their kids are like, oh, it's hilarious. I love it. It's a great film. And I'm like, motherfucking Leon.
Man, it's this. And I really kind of feel bad for my review because I was thinking like, it's cute, but it's a matinee. It's a good matinee. I even think I might have said low matinee. But the more I think about this, the more it just makes me happy, man. The movie is so cute and funny that it's harmless. And it really is one of those movies that you can describe as harmless fun. And I think everyone will enjoy this film that sees it. And adults will like it, not because so much we always say this, they're throwing humor for the adults. No, adults will like it just because, again, it's just something cute in there for everyone to enjoy. If you don't love those little minions, the little yellow minions and the things that they do on screen, you just don't have a heart. In the movie, I think we're talking about Despicable Me. We haven't said the name yet.
Yeah, we have.
Okay.
I think we did.
Brought in really good business, man. $60.1 million this weekend. So, and the budget for that was $69 million. Because and you could kind of tell too, the movie, there are certain points when you're watching it, and you could tell it doesn't have the budget of something like a Pixar film. I mean, there's some character designs in there that weren't all that great. There's some scenes in there where the animation looks a little choppy. But overall, man, I really, that movie made me smile. It put me in a really good mood when I walked out. So, and you haven't seen it?
No, I haven't, because Leon shooed me away from it.
Nah, man.
I trusted him.
You should check it out.
I trusted you, Leon.
He might be right.
Boy.
You and him might not. I mean, you and him might really be agreeing on that. You might not like it that much.
But everyone else I'm hearing is really enjoying it, so it's actually getting me excited to go see it sometime this week.
And it's got.
But I'm not on jury duty.
Oh yeah, you're not doing jury duty. But it got like 80% on Rotten Tomatoes since we were talking about that. I was just looking at that.
I saw that earlier. That was that combined with all my friends tweeting about it and writing about it on Facebook. And all of a sudden I'm like, yeah, I want to go check this out.
Yeah, it's a really sweet movie, man. It's just one of those films where they don't mean to go out and do anything ambitious with it, and it works for that particular film, and you can't blame them for that. So yeah, I recommend people go see it. Steve Carell plays the voice of a villain, a super villain in this movie who wants to steal the moon until he gets foiled by 3 little orphan girls. I know that sounds hokey as hell, but god damn did it melt my heart what little there is left of it. So yeah, I'm glad this movie's doing well. Really had a lot of fun. I think it's the first big animated feature like this from. It can't be the first because Universal did the Ice Age movies, didn't they?
No, that's Fox.
Okay, so that's right. It is Fox. So I think this is the first big CG animated film from Universal, and it looks like it's a pretty strong debut for them. So anyway, man, I know you have
questions.
You have some questions, and you have a lot of questions and very little time. So you want to go ahead and jump into some tweets and emails?
Yeah. iDrake76 asks, What's your favorite Shakespearean remake of the last 50 years?
The last. I
have 2 answers for this. I have the best and I have my favorite.
Okay, go ahead.
2 radically different. The best is the 1996 Kenneth Branagh version of Hamlet. It
You
is the
you actually took mine.
well, good, because it is the best. I mean, we can here. Let's talk about this. This is, if you have not seen this version of the film, it is the way to see Hamlet. It is every line of Hamlet. He cut out nothing. He set it in like 1930s Denmark to
Yeah.
give kind of that to give that royalty feel, but at the same time to be able to make it beautiful and different and almost ethereal. And it's really just, it's fantastically shot. It's got one of the greatest casts ever assembled. It's literally everyone in this cast is just top notch, right down to, I remember at the time when it came out, everyone was like, well, why did they cast an unknown as Ophelia? It was this young girl who had just kind of hit the scene, and everyone else is all established and great actors. And here, who is this Kate Winslet girl who plays Ophelia? And of course it's Kate fucking Winslet, and she's great as Ophelia, and Kenneth Branagh has never been better than he is as Hamlet, and Brian Blessed as his father, and just so many great actors. There's only one performance in the film that I wish was not there.
Well, I was going to mention Hamlet for two reasons. For one, I like the version that Kenneth Branagh did. I mean, the only thing I can't complain about with that is that it came off almost like a vanity project for Kenneth Branagh. And
Not as much as several of his other. I mean, the guy when he was in his 30s played Romeo in Romeo and Juliet. So
no, he's
had much worse projects.
Well, he loves Shakespeare, and it's obvious. There was just some points in the film where he really was hamming it up, because he plays the central role in that movie, and you could tell there's certain parts where he's just giddy, and he knows that he's pulling this off well, and he kind of hams it up a little bit. And I thought he distracted from his own movie, but. And then also at the same time, he made himself the centerpiece for the huge monologue in the film, which is, to be and not to be. That is a question. And that whole monologue is one shot. And hey, you got to say it's really impressive because he made that monologue actually interesting. I love the way he's talking, and then it zooms out as he's giving the monologue, and he's doing one shot to show you, hey, look, I know this monologue by heart. So it's impressive, but also it seems sort of like a vanity project for him. But it is. It's a great movie. I like it. But there's also a recent production of Hamlet that was on PBS that had Brian Tennant, the guy who played. I mean, is that his name?
Yes, and
is that his name? Brian? It's not Brian Tennant, is it? It's not.
No, it's Matt Tennant.
His last name is Tennant. He's the guy that played the last Doctor Who.
I actually have this bookmarked because there is actually David Tennant.
David Tennant. He played. There's a recent production of Hamlet on PBS. It's him and the guy. I can't believe I forgot this guy's name. Big bald guy that commanded the Enterprise. Patrick Stewart. Yeah. And that's set in present time, and it's actually really good, man.
You can, in fact, what I keep trying to tell you is PBS on pbs.org right now. You can stream this Hamlet that Corey's talking about. Like, I have it bookmarked right now because somebody told me about it a few weeks ago, and I've got it set aside for when I've got some free time to watch this version that you're talking about because everybody keeps telling me how good it is.
Oh man, it's amazing. David Tennant is incredible in that film, man. I mean, yeah, it never went to theaters. It was made for American Playhouse or something? Not American Playhouse.
Yeah, it's one of the it's classic PBS television.
Yeah,
let's do Shakespeare on PBS.
Yeah, and it's amazing. It's really good. I'm not a Shakespeare expert or anything like that, so I can't tell you. No, not at all. And I'm not a Shakespearean thespian or anything like that. But I can tell you that when I see Shakespeare perform well, anybody, you don't have to know Shakespeare to know when it's performed well. I mean,
right.
for me, if it really pulls me in with these Shakespearean lines, then they've done their job as far as I'm concerned. And that production of Hamlet on PBS was amazing. And then the production values on that for like a TV movie, it is also incredibly impressive and amazing. So I guess my other Shakespeare adaptation that I love is a year before Hamlet came out, Kenneth Branagh's Hamlet. There was Lawrence Fishburne in Othello. Yeah, that was 95, and that
was also Kenneth Branagh.
Kenneth Branagh. He did he direct that? Because I know he played
Branagh
Iago in that.
Yeah, Brennan was part. He caused a resurgence in the '90s, and he went around making a whole mess of Shakespeare plays.
I
Into
don't think he directed that though.
Othello. I'm pretty sure he directed Othello. I'll look it up.
I'm almost positive he didn't, but go ahead and look it up.
Okay, yeah. So you keep talking about Othello. I'm looking.
No,
it up.
it's Lawrence Fishburne. Now,
oh no, you're right. It was directed by Oliver Parker.
He was in it as Iago,
Yeah.
Kenneth Branagh. But yeah, I didn't think he directed that. But this was one of the first times I'd seen, and I'm sure there were productions of Othello that had black people play the lead role of Othello, but this is the first time I've seen it theatrically where they used a black actor to play Othello. And Lawrence Fishburne, I think this is one of his most incredible performances. That is the staple film where I tell people, if you doubt Lawrence Fishburne's skills as an actor, go and watch Othello. It is incredible. And I like Rosencrantz and Guildenstern are dead too. So
I love that. Of course, that's Tom Stoppard. But if you've never seen Rosencrantz and Guildenstern are dead or never read the play, you should. It's Tom Stoppard's masterpiece.
Yeah, it's not by Shakespeare. It's not a Shakespeare play, but they did something very creative with it.
There's parts of Hamlet in it. Yeah, it's an adjunct to Hamlet. If you've never seen Hamlet, see Hamlet first, then watch Rosencrantz and Guildenstern are dead. But my favorite, the one that I've watched the most, my favorite adaptation of all time of William Shakespeare is 10 Things I Hate About You.
Oh,
I love that film. It is a high school adaptation of Taming of the Shrew.
I never saw it. Now, are they saying the lines also?
To a certain degree. They do work a lot of the stuff in. It's not in Shakespearean speak. And there's a lot of stuff that doesn't apply, but it is the story. And it is Taming of the Shrew, except it's Taming of the Shrew with the Joker. Now I'm blanking on his name all of a sudden. Heath Ledger.
Yeah.
And he is so good in that film. This is the first film where a lot of people got to know him, where nobody knew who he was. He was just this young up-and-comer. He hadn't done The Patriot yet. He hadn't kind of exploded onto the scene. And this was that film that just broke him to teen girls. And he was great in it. He plays opposite Julia Stiles. Joseph Gordon-Levitt is in it as the young love interest trying to hook up with Julia Stiles' younger sister. It's got a lot of great young actors and actresses in it. Gabrielle Union's in it. Allison Janney plays a guidance counselor who's simultaneously writing romance novels in her office and is always looking for pornographic phrases. It's a really funny, adorable movie that I'm sure most of you out there have seen. And if you haven't, you should see it because of the goofy, kitschy romantic comedies. It is among one of the greatest guilty pleasure, fun, everybody loves it movies.
Well, I mean, if we're gonna go off in that direction, because I thought we were just talking about like
Shakespearean.
I thought we were talking about like adaptations, like straight adaptations.
And that's why I threw you a curveball, motherfucker.
Well, if that's the case, let me catch that ball and throw it right back at you with an animated version of Romeo and Juliet and Juliet called Romeo and Juliet. Because it was a movie, it was a TV movie that came out like in the 70s by this company Nelvana. They did Rock and Rule. By the way, if anybody's ever seen that cult animated movie, yeah, it's a take on Romeo and Juliet, but it's with robots. And I don't remember a whole lot of it, but I remember as a kid they used to show it in reruns all the time, and I loved it, man. I bet you could find clips of that on YouTube. And I just thought I think it was about 30 minutes long, and I just thought, wow, that's a nice short little clever take on Romeo and Juliet, especially just since the joke is mainly taken from the names. And I might look at it today and be like, wow, I like this shit. But it's got me thinking, man, I want to go back and check this out and see if it's as good as I remember it, which it probably won't be. But yeah, that's one of those things that I thought, at least in concept, I thought was a clever takeoff of a Shakespearean play. So anyway, man, you got anything else?
Well, there are a number of ones. Did you get any emails that you want to read this week, or?
You know what? I didn't look and see.
No problem. No, that's totally good. Any thoughts on this back and forth over whether Ed Norton will be in the Avengers? That's from Big Huge Giant.
Yeah, I just read that before we started it.
Which one did you read? Did you read the Marvel, or did you read Edward Norton's agent's response?
The one that I read was from Marvel, where they said that we need an actor who can work with an ensemble cast, which I don't know what that meant. I don't know if they were talking about like Ed Norton is hard to work with, or at least hard to work with these
That's
actors.
Exactly what they're saying. They're alluding back to all the talk about the problems they had with the cut of the Hulk, because Edward Norton was really upset with them cutting out several scenes from the Hulk. The original version of the Incredible Hulk involved him going out into the Arctic and trying to commit suicide, and he tried to shoot himself, and he hulked out, and he went Hulk for a while, and that's when he knew that he could not just die, that he had to find a cure, and that was a really important turning point for the character. But if you know that the Hulk can't kill himself, when he gets kicked out of the helicopter at the end, it removes all that tension, and you know he's going to Hulk out, rather than get worried for him for a second, hoping he'll Hulk out, and then watch him Hulk out. So they apparently had a big dispute over that, but that got smoothed over, and he was super cool on the trail. And just a few hours ago, his agent released a press release saying, we don't know what the fuck they're talking about. They're being real, I'm paraphrasing here, of course. They're being real dicks about this. Kevin Feige is not acting in good faith, essentially, and goes to explain that Feige was really interested in bringing him back, and that by bringing him back, hey, hold on one second.
Sure.
Feige was really interested in bringing him back, and that by they made an offer. He was really interested in coming back. He had a meeting with Joss Whedon. He and Joss Whedon were both happy. Marvel made a financial offer. They had
so Joss Whedon is directing.
Yeah. And so they made the offer back and forth in good faith. And then in the middle of last week, Marvel came back and said, yeah, we've decided we're going in another direction. And they're like, well, we're a little heartbroken about it, but all right, we understand. And then they put out this really – once it happened that he wasn't in, the fan reaction was nasty, and fans went after Marvel. And Marvel got really pissy and decided to go after Edward Norton and make it look like Edward Norton's fault, which made fans even pissier. And now that this is coming out, Kevin Feige is looking like a total douche. He responded very poorly to the situation. I don't think the Edward Norton's agent responded exactly the right way, but at the same time, it was exactly what people needed to hear to realize that Marvel clearly it's a financial thing and has nothing to do with Edward Norton, and it's a bad call.
Yeah, that's too bad then, because I would have loved to have seen him return as Bruce Banner. I thought he did a great job as Bruce Banner in the Hulk. So I don't know. He seems to bring that seriousness that they want for that kind of character too.
Yeah.
I don't know.
No, I loved him. I was really looking forward to coming back. In fact, one of the things they said in the latest release was that he was really excited about doing it because he's personal friends with a number of the guys who are in the ensemble, and was really looking forward to getting a chance to work with them. So I can only imagine that this is going to get uglier before it gets better. And I think all Edward Norton's going to be interviewed about from here on out is about that until he responds. So he's going to have to respond, and Marvel's going to have to find a way to save face. And I don't think they're just going to up and fire Kevin Feige. That's not going to happen. Yeah. So Kevin Feige has to figure a way out of this shit because right now he's riding high. Like, everybody's in love with them. They can do no wrong. They are almost at Pixar levels of favorability when you consider people trusting them and what they're doing with the franchises now. And this was a huge misstep. This was a big mistake.
What do you think about this kid that got as Peter Parker?
It's one of those things where it's like, I don't really know him.
What's his name? Something Garfield.
Yeah, and
Garfield the cat.
He doesn't interest me. He doesn't do anything for me. We'll see how it comes out. Right now, he's not driving it. It's whether or not Mark Webb can make a good Spider-Man film.
Yeah.
and we'll see. I mean, it's a Spider-Man film, so we'll be there and we'll want it to rock, and we'll be supporting it if up until the point it starts to suck.
Yeah.
So
Let's hope that doesn't happen.
Yeah, let's hope.
Sucking, that is. So here's a quick question. I can answer this real quickly. This is from Aaron, who says, have you guys considered releasing the Spill animated reviews on a DVD and selling them to the Spillios in the shop like what the Angry Video Game Nerd and that guy with glasses did? Right now, and I really want to answer this question because there's been a lot of talk about merchandising. Right now, I'm trying to talk to the people who do merchandising for The Onion, Red versus Blue, or they call it Rooster Teeth. They also do marketing for Homestar Runner. There's a lot of people they do marketing for, or not marketing, but merchandising for. And I'm trying to get Hollywood.com to hook up with them and do our merchandising so that we don't have to do something on, what is it, Dazzle, Yazzle, Frazzle, whatever, our cafe press. This is something where we are trying to really brand our merchandising in a way that suits us, customize it to where it suits us, and that's what this company does. I won't say the name of the company yet because I got to see what we do with them. And part of that is trying to figure out how to do content that we can sell through something like DVD, which I don't even know if that's something we want to do because I don't know where DVD is going yet. I don't know how content is going to be delivered. I don't know how much Blu-ray is taking over. So I think we'll all be hesitating to see what direction that goes. But we would like to produce content that we can collect and sell in some collected form, because with the movie reviews right now, anybody can tell you the biggest obstacle with that is that we have other people's property in there, which are the clips from the films, and we don't have permission to resell those and make money with it. So if we can do something else that is sort of standalone and is totally our material, then we'll be fine. So you can come in, man. I got a friend of mine who's coming in here. Big old, you look scary when you stand in the doorway like that. You know that? They'll say you look scary when you stand in the doorway like that. That's my friend Sammy. People have heard us talk about him on Let's Do This. But anyway, yeah, so that is something that we are thinking about, and as soon as we figure out a solution, we'll try to get that together. But our whole marketing and merchandising needs to be looked at seriously more than ever, because I think that we're just shooting ourselves in the foot repeatedly when it comes to that. So that's my answer for you there. I'm sure.
So the answer is no, there will not be DVDs.
Well,
but we are working on something. We have thought about it, but there's not going to be DVDs.
Well, the answer is not no to DVD yet. Like I said, we just want to see.
Well, no. He asked if we're going to be putting the reviews on DVD, and we can't do that.
Oh, the reviews themselves?
No. Yeah, no. That's the answer to that question is no. It's not going to happen. But we are looking at ways to provide content for you that you can buy from us to help pay the bills.
And also thinking about trying to figure out how we can leverage some of that content from the reviews. Maybe we can't put the review up in its form that you see it now, but maybe we could take out some of the animated bits in there and figure out some sort of way to comprise them in some sort of montage or something. Maybe mix it in with some of the original content that we're trying to talk about doing and putting that out there. There's all kind of ways around it. Nothing's impossible. We just have to be smart about it. So we're trying to think about something to put out there. Anyway, man, I know we got to move on and do something, some other recording later. So you want to wrap this up?
All right. Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.